For over 3 decades, the Airbus A320 has ruled the skies, a true workhorse carrying billions of passengers around the world. But time is catching up. With airlines demanding greater fuel efficiency and governments tightening carbon emission goals, Airbus knows the A320's days are numbered. Behind closed doors in Toulouse, engineers are already sketching its successor, a plane that could change short-haul travel forever. From hydrogen propulsion to digital wings and new manufacturing methods, this is Airbus's bold plan to replace the legendary A320, and why it might redefine the future of aviation. But even the best aircraft have their limits. As fuel prices rise and the pressure to decarbonize aviation intensifies, the A320, despite its many upgrades, is approaching the edge of its potential. Airlines are now demanding planes that can cut emissions by 30, 40, or even 50%. And regulators in Europe are setting aggressive carbon neutrality targets by 2050. Airbus can't simply keep tweaking the A320. They need something revolutionary. Inside Airbus's headquarters in Toulouse, a new generation of engineers is working on what insiders quietly call the A320's true successor. Officially, it doesn't have a name yet, but rumors suggest it could be part of the Zero program, Airbus's ambitious project to build the world's first zero-emission commercial aircraft. Early prototypes show futuristic designs with blended wings, hybrid hydrogen engines, and next-generation digital flight systems that learn from every flight. Airbus isn't just thinking about performance. They're thinking about the future of flying itself, how to make aviation sustainable, quieter, and more efficient. The company has already invested billions into hydrogen infrastructure, lightweight materials, and digital twins, virtual models that simulate an aircraft's entire life cycle before a single part is built. But the road ahead is risky. Developing a new aircraft family takes more than a decade and tens of billions of euros. Airbus needs to ensure that any A320 replacement isn't just technologically superior, but also economically viable for airlines. Still, one thing is certain: the A320 era is ending, and what comes next will define Airbus's legacy for the next 50 years. So before we dive deeper into Airbus's bold new design and the incredible technology behind it, make sure to subscribe to the channel, because what's coming next could change how the world flies forever.
While Boeing continues refining its traditional aircraft, Airbus has taken a radical turn. The company believes the next generation of planes won't just be electric or hybrid, they'll be powered by hydrogen. And this isn't just a dream on paper. Airbus has already launched its Zero-E program, which is testing several groundbreaking aircraft concepts that could completely transform short and medium-haul flights by the mid-2030s. The first major prototype is known as the Zero Turbofan, a sleek modern jet that looks similar to today's A320, but with one major difference. It runs on hydrogen combustion engines instead of conventional jet fuel. Airbus claims this design could cut carbon emissions by up to 100%, leaving only water vapor behind. Another version, called the Zero Blended Wing Body, looks like something straight out of science fiction. A wide, flat aircraft where the wings and fuselage merge into a single aerodynamic shape, offering more internal space for hydrogen tanks and passengers alike. To bring these concepts closer to reality, Airbus has built a massive hydrogen test hub in France and partnered with major energy companies across Europe. They're also testing liquid hydrogen storage systems that can safely contain fuel at -253 degrees Celsius, a challenge that few have ever solved. The company's plan is to use these systems on a test aircraft by 2026, with flight demonstrations soon after. But hydrogen alone isn't enough. Airbus is pairing these technologies with digital twin simulations, advanced computer models that can test thousands of flight scenarios virtually before a prototype ever takes off. This allows engineers to detect design flaws, optimize efficiency, and reduce costs, something that could shave years off traditional development timelines. What makes this effort so bold is that Airbus isn't just building a new aircraft. It's rebuilding the ecosystem that supports it. Airports across Europe, including Amsterdam Schiphol and Toulouse Blagnac, are already planning hydrogen refueling stations and ground vehicles. Airbus is leading a coalition that could reshape not just how planes are built, but how aviation infrastructure operates. Hydrogen flight might sound futuristic today, but so did fly-by-wire in the 1980s. And if Airbus succeeds, the next aircraft to replace the A320 won't just be cleaner. It will be the symbol of a new era of sustainable flight. Airbus isn't alone in this race toward the next generation of aircraft, and that's exactly what makes it so urgent. Around the world, competitors are moving fast, each hoping to dominate the post-fossil fuel era of aviation. Boeing, still recovering from years of setbacks with the 737 MAX and 787 Dreamliner, has been cautiously observing Airbus's hydrogen ambitions. Officially, Boeing says hydrogen flight is still decades away, instead betting on sustainable aviation fuels, SAFs, as a quicker and safer path to lower emissions. But critics argue Boeing is falling behind, focusing on incremental upgrades, while Airbus is aiming for a total reinvention. Meanwhile, in China, COMAC, the Commercial Aircraft Corporation of China, is emerging as a serious threat. Its C919 jet, designed to rival the A320neo, is already flying with Chinese airlines. And Beijing's long-term plan is clear. By the 2030s, they want to make China fully independent in aircraft manufacturing. Behind the scenes, COMAC is collaborating with domestic tech and energy companies to develop hybrid and hydrogen-powered aircraft, supported by massive government funding. For Airbus, this isn't just competition. It's a geopolitical race for dominance in the skies. Even Embraer in Brazil and Rolls-Royce in the UK are entering the conversation, working on regional hydrogen aircraft and small hybrid propulsion systems. The industry has become a laboratory of innovation, where every major player is trying to define what the next aircraft should look like. That's why Airbus can't afford delays. The company knows that the first manufacturer to deliver a zero-emission commercial jet could lock in market share for decades. Airlines around the world, from EasyJet to Air New Zealand, are already signing memorandums of understanding with Airbus to explore hydrogen-powered routes. These early partnerships help Airbus secure not only funding, but also valuable feedback from real operators about infrastructure and operational challenges. Yet time is ticking. Developing an entirely new aircraft family can take 10 to 15 years, meaning that if Airbus wants to replace the A320 by the mid-2030s, it has to act now. Every month of delay risks ceding ground to competitors. The next phase of the project will determine everything: the design freeze, the engine technology, and the massive retooling of factories across Europe. And that's exactly what we'll explore next: how Airbus is preparing its entire production system for the most ambitious aircraft program since the original A320.
To replace the A320, Airbus isn't just designing a new airplane. It's reinventing the way airplanes are built. The company calls it the digital factory revolution. At its core, the idea is simple: use advanced simulation, robotics, and artificial intelligence to design, test, and manufacture every component with near-zero error. In practice, it's one of the most complex industrial transformations in history. Inside Airbus's new facilities in Toulouse, Hamburg, and Broughton, engineers are creating digital twins, ultra-detailed 3D models of the next-generation aircraft that mirror every bolt, cable, and panel in real time. These virtual aircraft are used to simulate everything from aerodynamics to cabin airflow and even passenger movement. With this data, Airbus can predict wear and tear, optimize assembly sequences, and ensure that parts fit perfectly before they're ever produced. Robotics and automation play a key role in this new approach. Instead of long assembly lines filled with human workers tightening thousands of bolts, Airbus is deploying collaborative robots, or cobots, that work side by side with technicians. These machines handle repetitive and precision tasks, allowing engineers to focus on problem solving and quality assurance. In some areas, artificial intelligence already monitors every step of production, detecting defects, tracking material usage, and suggesting design improvements on the fly. Another critical shift is in materials. The A320's successor will rely heavily on advanced composites and lightweight alloys that are both stronger and more sustainable than traditional aluminum. Airbus is experimenting with thermoplastic composites, which can be melted down and reused, drastically cutting waste and emissions during manufacturing. These materials are produced in automated clean facilities powered by renewable energy, part of Airbus's goal to make aircraft production itself carbon neutral by 2030. Airbus has even reimagined the factory layout. Instead of static assembly lines, new production halls use modular workstations, where major components like fuselages, wings, and tails are built in parallel and then brought together by autonomous vehicles. This method speeds up production and reduces costs, a key advantage when competing with Boeing and COMAC. All these innovations are converging toward one goal: to make the Zero successor to the A320 faster, cheaper, and greener to produce than any jet before it. But building the aircraft of the future is only half the battle. The real challenge lies in convincing the world, airlines, regulators, and passengers, that hydrogen flight is ready for takeoff.
Airbus stands at a crossroads between the comfort of the familiar and the uncertainty of the future. The A320 defined an entire era of air travel, but its successor could define the next one. Hydrogen propulsion, digital factories, and carbon-neutral production aren't just buzzwords. They're part of a new vision where aviation no longer has to choose between progress and the planet. Of course, challenges remain. Infrastructure, regulation, and technology must all evolve together. But every revolution begins with a single bold step, and Airbus has already taken it. If the Zero project succeeds, the company won't just replace the A320, it will rewrite aviation history, proving that clean flight is not only possible, but inevitable. The next decade will test everything: innovation, ambition, and courage. Yet one thing is certain: the world's most popular jet is about to pass the torch to something extraordinary. If you enjoyed this look into Airbus's vision for the future of flight, leave a like, share the video, and tell us in the comments, would you fly on a hydrogen-powered aircraft? And of course, subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter in aviation's incredible journey.